My friend and gentlewoman from Maine may have mentioned that this affects all monuments. In fact, it does not. As a former secretary, monuments are under the Antiquities Act. There's about 163, as I recall. This only pertains to monuments that commemorate the founding fathers of the United States on land under the jurisdiction. I don't recall how many monuments are to the founding fathers, but there's not many.
But I want to be clear. Let me read this back to you. There may have been an earlier version of this, but this one says, none of the funds made available by this act may be used to remove any monument on land under the jurisdiction of the Department of Interior. I reserve.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Actually, there should be no funds allocated to remove any monument, and there's no necessary reason to remove the monuments. This is the Democrat and the Biden administration's effort to erase our history, just as they have done to the statue of Robert E. Lee. This is an outrage.
So just to clear up a couple of things, my colleague mentioned the founding fathers. Robert E. Lee was not actually one of the founding fathers. He was a general of the Confederacy. That was the city of Charlottesville. That wasn't a national monument when that statue was removed.
Just as is the case with many things in this country, what's most important is not always what's said. Sometimes it's what's not said. And this is one of those cases.
Mr. President, do you still think there were very fine people on both sides of the struggle?
I've answered that question. And if you look at what I said, you will see that that question was answered perfectly. And I was talking about people that went because they felt very strongly about the monument to Robert E. Lee, a great general, whether you like it or not. He was one of the great generals. I've spoken to many generals here, right at the White House, and many people thought of the generals. They think that he was maybe their favorite general. People were there protesting the taking down of the monument of Robert E. Lee. Everybody knows that.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is screaming and ranting about erasing history in this country and one of the founding fathers' monuments or statues to this person being erased, removed, talking about Robert E. Lee. Well, newsflash, Robert E. Lee isn't a founding father of this country. He's a founding father of the Confederate. And if that's what she's angry about, then she should be. Because guess what? This is a history that no one should be proud of. This is a general who fought to keep black people enslaved.
We cannot remain complicit with these monuments. We cannot remain silent anymore. If we do so, our silence becomes agreement and endorsement to complicity. The statue at Antietam and the bill that it represents and statues everywhere must be removed for a more perfect union, which is inclusive of a better tomorrow and a better United States. I fully believe, along with a host of other amazing citizens of this great country, that Black lives matter. And for us to continue to celebrate a man who questioned the education, disparaged the right to vote of Black life, and had previously fought for the continued enslavement of Africans on the North American continent is an affront to those now who are suffering under current weights of oppression.
Monuments to Robert E. Lee and other Confederate generals and warriors, soldiers, has nothing to do except remind black people that at a point in time in this country's history, we were not considered human. We were enough to fight for, only to be owned, not for our freedom.
This is a period that we don't teach enough about in our country. It's a period of untold violence, of domestic terrorism, of the rise of the Klan and other white supremacist organizations that from the late 1800s to about 1950, literally thousands of Americans, about 4,400 well-documented cases, were lynched in this country. We cannot separate the Confederate statues from this history and legacy of white supremacy in this country.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
It's not the first time President Trump has shown affection for Confederate generals. In 2013, he lavished praise on Robert E. Lee.
You know, in the old days, we had generals like Patton and Robert E. Lee, and we had some great ones, General Douglas MacArthur and Grant. They must be just spinning in their graves when they see what happened.
So this idea that we sit here in Congress on the floor of the House and pretend that a monument or a bill or an amendment to protect statues for this person is important enough that we should be defending it because such as erasing our history is laughable, especially from a party talking about the Republican Party that is dead set on erasing history as it pertains to the positive things that Black people offer and also the things that Black people suffered through, mainly in their effort to ban books all over this country. Republicans are dead set on erasing history when they ban books, when they rewrite curricula to say that slavery was Gentile and slaves enjoyed their time on plantations. This is the fraud that party is capable of and also carrying out at this very moment. The idea that we have monuments to support slavery, suppression, and oppression is absolutely ridiculous. And there shouldn't be any, not just on federal grounds, but anywhere in this country. There are no monuments to Hitler and Nazis in Germany. No one honors people who carry out terror against their citizens except for America. And when we hear this, Marjorie Taylor Greene willing to lump in Robert E. Lee with the founding fathers of this country, we're all left to ask, how does she see Black people? What do we mean to her? And which country is she fighting for? Which country is Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans fighting for when they defend Robert E. Lee and the actions of Confederate generals or the Confederate at all? I know this firsthand as I've been attacked and threatened by the Klansmen, the largest Klan chapter in this country, when I tore down a Confederate monument in my hometown. So to sit here with firsthand knowledge and also sacrifice as it pertains to this issue and hear someone defend it and call Robert E. Lee a founding father, I'm left feeling disgusted as an American citizen, as a Black American citizen. Don't be disgusting. I'm Mondale Robinson. Have a great day, but not before you think about it.